Reports coming in that Ligt to Manchester United is done, and it's a £42 million deal. It's just pending further agreement and further announcement. Who has this story come from? What's the reliability and what's expected to happen in regards to Ligt to Man United? Reports coming in of Manchester United's interest in Zubimendi. He had a very good second half in place of Rodri versus England, and potentially Manchester United's interest in Zubimendi could advance. He's previously been linked to Arsenal. What's the latest on Ugarte, Ivan Toney, and more? Hello and welcome back to Alice Talks Football. Welcome back to another short news roundup video. We're also going to talk a little bit more in detail about De Ligt to Manchester United and what it'll bring. But first of all, I want to get to the news and then we'll do a bit of analysis on De Ligt. So please do hit that like button. Of course, subscribe down below if you're new, and let's get into it. So Nick Semerano said, breaking just now. Pending further confirmation, Matthijs de Ligt from Bayern Munich to Manchester United is done. Agreement reached on 42 million playable installments, 170k per week salary, contract until 2029. Now, I don't know how reliable this guy is. I don't know if he's good. I don't know if he's bad. I've seen his name popping up a bit at the moment, and he was quite accurate with the Xerxes stuff, but I don't know if he was guessing and got lucky or if he's credible. He was very accurate with the Xerxes stuff. That deal did happen. He did keep saying that deal was going to happen, but he is no Ornstein, he is no Romano. The way I see it is, if we hear nothing by about 5 p.m. from Ornstein or Romano, I don't know if De Ligt to Man United is done. Potentially there has been agreement reached. We know that there's obviously an agreement reached on De Ligt to Man United side. De Ligt has agreed to join United. De Ligt has agreed personal terms with Man United. We know there's an agreement on that side of the deal. We know that it's expected to be £42 million, and that's including add-ons with maybe 34 million in base fee. We know the reason it was stalling was only because Man United and Bayern were discussing how the add-ons were going to be done. Maybe 34 million pounds rising to 42 million, but they were structuring how the add-ons were going to be applied. 170k a week contract. It sounds correct. It sounds, somewhat along the right lines. But I always say take with a pinch of salt until it's come from Romano Ornstein, because they're normally ones to break the news. So we'll have to see. But what we do know from Fabrizio Romano is De Ligt's very close. Man United plan to get De Ligt done this week. It's Monday. This is the week Man United plan to get De Ligt done. Fabrizio Romano said it's very close. He should be the next signing. He said yesterday there was a lot of contact going on and United want to get De Ligt done this week. So same with many credible sources like Florian Plettenberg. Now what you get in De Ligt is a 24-year-old right centre-back who can be your Varane replacement because he's a very good box defender. And in Varane, you've got a very good box defender. He's won league titles in the Netherlands, Italy, and Germany. So to get a player for around £40 million that's won 3 league titles and is that experienced at 24, having played under our manager before, went for big fees of 60 and 80 million euros before going to United for just under 50 million euros. Has leadership and captain qualities as well. He's 6'2", and when you're replacing Varane, you need someone that's a box defender. You need someone that's good in the air, and I think De Ligt's biggest strengths are aerial duels, scoring from set pieces, which obviously is some of Maguire's biggest strengths as well, heading, but he's also comfortable on the ball. I liked Varane, but his biggest weakness was he wasn't always the most comfortable on the ball. And while De Ligt isn't Martinez, he's not going to be the primary guy you want to use in build-up. And Matthijs de Ligt is comfortable on the ball. He's comfortable at passing the ball. But what I like about De Ligt is his IQ, his reading of the game, and his box defending. You've got the aggression in Martinez, but De Ligt's box defending and in tight spaces, he's one of the best box defenders in football. He's one of the best defenders to have at set pieces. He's very good aerially. He reads the game well, and he's very confident at passing the ball, having a lot of the ball, playing it forward, which is what Ten Hag will want. He's played under Ten Hag before. And most importantly, Bayern Munich fans are starting a petition to keep De Ligt. They do not want De Ligt to go. They literally signed a petition to be like, please don't sell De Ligt. De Ligt has taken a wage cut to come to United, and Bayern Munich fans don't want him to go. So I see that's a positive, especially when you see Max Kilman going for the same price as De Ligt when De Ligt is 3 years younger and 3 times better. You've also got to just look at it here. De Ligt versus Ousmane Diomande. Now, Ousmane Diomande is who I wanted Man United to go for at right centre-back because he's 20 years of age and could be available for 50 million. But when you're talking about profiles, De Ligt is the similar profile to Ousmane Diomande. So the guy that I wanted him, De Ligt is a very, very similar profile to him. So hopefully we do get the De Ligt deal over the line. Hopefully we should get some updates on the De Ligt deal being done. But there's obviously reports coming out. There's another source from Spain saying the De Ligt deal is done, but I don't know why a Spanish source would know if De Ligt deal is done. So I would definitely take that one with a pinch of salt, whereas the Nick guy seems to have a little bit more credibility. But let's dive into the next story. So there is some news reports and rumours coming out on Zubimendi to Manchester United. It was said that Manchester United are planning an opening bid of 37.8 million for Zubimendi. However, that's expected to fall short of Real Sociedad's asking price. Zubimendi has a 50.5 million release clause in his contract. Potentially United could test the waters with a 40 million bid for Zubimendi. I think he's a good player. He can play as a 6, he can play as an 8. In possession, he's a lot better than Ugarte, but out of possession, if you want a tackler, a guy that's going to break out play, Ugarte is better. I mean, you could go for both Zubimendi and Ugarte, and then him Maino. Having Zubimendi, Ugarte and Maino as 3 players rotating the 2 pivot spaces is some really good options. And then you've got Bruno and Mount that can rotate the 10 role. And then all of a sudden we do have a lot better depth. I don't know if we'd have the funds for both, but I don't know if this is just because, he had a good second half in the Euros against England that they're going to link Zubimendi to United. I've always said, why aren't we looking at this guy more? But again, like with the De Ligt news, I'd say take this with a pinch of salt. You know me on the channel. On this, we report every news story on the channel, unless it is literally like someone we know who's completely made it up. We talk about every news story on this channel. But one thing we do say is we say if we think the news story is credible or not. And I would say take the De Ligt and the Zubimendi news with a pinch of salt. Laurie Whitwell, David Ornstein, Fabrizio Romano, they never really get anything wrong. There's some other really good sources out there, like Chris Wheeler, Simon Stone's a really good source. That they're good journalists where that they've got some kind of brief from the club. Tier 2 is your Samuel Luckhurst, is your Rob Dawson's. They've got connections, they've got sources, but sometimes you think that's a bit of a questionable thing to be writing about our players. But whereas with Nacional, one thing about Spanish media is it's worse than English media when it comes to making up stuff. But I've always said, why haven't we been linked to Zubimendi more? Maybe now Dan Ashworth and Barada's in place, we might start to get links to the likes of Zubimendi more. That'll be quite interesting, but we'll have to wait and see. Another story said by Florian Plettenberg, who's a really good source of information. Now, this is a good journalist. This is a good source, said that more talks between United and Ugarte have taken place. Man United have had talks with PSG about Ugarte, but we've not made a final decision. We have the green light from Ugarte. We have the green light from PSG to push ahead on the Ugarte deal. We've not made the final decision. Is it because it's connected to potentially selling Casemiro? Is it because potentially we're looking at maybe someone like Zubimendi, a different kind of option? Maybe the Ineos have said, actually, there could be a better option here. What is it, because PSG have been complicated about the price, or is it because we're just so focused on the likes of De Ligt and Euro as well? Let's talk about these few other news stories coming in as well. It was said that Manchester United signing Ivan Toney is unlikely. Toney is not viewed as realistic at the stage. I think if we made massive moves in terms of sales, maybe we make a move for Ivan Toney. But I've always said if we're going to move for another attacking-minded player, it needs to be someone that can cover on the wing. So Xerxes, Højlund, Bosch, 2 strikers, Bosch. We need someone that's going to cover on the wings. And I think Ivan Toney potentially could do that. But what's the point of signing Ivan Toney to stick him on the wing or Xerxes on the wing or Højlund on the wing? It makes no sense. Now, one player we're hoping to sell, which could bring in some funds, is Greenwood. Lazio president said they offered 25 million euros plus the 50% sell-on clause to United for Greenwood, and several clubs tried to enter the race to disturb us and make the deal collapse. After Juventus, Napoli did the same. So Lazio president is confirming the news that Napoli, Juventus, Lazio and Marseille were all in for Greenwood, 25 million euros, 50% sell-on clause, is absolutely true. Because, getting Greenwood for about £24 million is a joke. We should have been getting 35 million from him at least. We probably would have gone for 50 million if it wasn't for the whole situation that went down. So I can see that a lot of clubs are in for Greenwood, but there's rumours of, Greenwood to Marseille being off and it's stalling. So hopefully that's not the case, but there is a few rumours of that. Now, I wanted to go back into De Ligt. I wanted to compare him to Varane. So Varane is obviously green, De Ligt is blue. Now, Varane defensively made a lot more defensive actions than De Ligt last season, but that's because Manchester United had a midfield that gave the defence no protection. We conceded the most shots, whereas Bayern Munich was very strong and on the front foot. So obviously it's really difficult to compare defenders' stats, but as you can see with statistics like aerials, dual winning, passing, forward passing, progressive passes. Yes, Bayern Munich played out from the back more, so De Ligt is obviously going to be better than Varane's. But if you look at aerial and dual winning, which is what we're going to lose the most in Varane, you can see that De Ligt is very on a similar level to Varane, if not better, when it comes to aerials and duels, which is really, really good because that's what we needed replacing, especially coming next to Lisandro Martinez. You could also compare De Ligt to Lindelof and Maguire. As you can see, Lindelof's just pony. Harry Maguire again beats obviously De Ligt for aerials, but De Ligt is a good dual winner. De Ligt's with Maguire for carrying, a little bit more comfortable passing. Obviously plays for a more possession dominant side, so of course there's going to be more passing connected with the De Ligt deal. Passing statistics in favour of De Ligt. But I was just thinking about comparing De Ligt to our current centre-backs, and I also wanted to include this. This is Lisandro Martinez up against De Ligt, and what's good about that is where Lisandro Martinez's strengths are, De Ligt's weaknesses are. Where Lisandro Martinez's weaknesses are, De Ligt's strengths are. And I'm just going to say on Lisandro Martinez, didn't concede one single goal when he was on the pitch in Copa America, 2 last-minute blocks in the final. He basically won Argentina Copa America. He was basically their best player. Unbelievable when he was on the pitch, played a full 120 minutes, was an absolute monster in Copa America, Lisandro Martinez. And if you look at his weaknesses, they're De Ligt's strengths. So I think it could be a really good pairing. Now, hopefully we get some more updates and news on De Ligt to Manchester United. I still think to take that story with a pinch of salt because I just don't quite trust that Nick guy. I know he got everything in regards to Xerxes to Manchester United correct, but I don't know if he's just a guessing person that is writing stuff for clicks. I don't know about him. He's come up this year, not familiar with the guy. He was spot on with the Xerxes situation, but I just say until you know how credible they are, take with a pinch of salt. If we don't hear anything from Romano and Ornstein tonight, I'd assume that the deal is not happening. And yes, I know my hair's a mess. I've just been swimming. Thank you for watching. Bye.